Well, it was very easy to make friends with the crew. There weren't all that many of them, and it was not a big ship. It had, I think, about 50 to 100 passengers, and then there were the engineers and the naval types who did the charts and things like that. And I always got seasick, so I wasn't any good at all. It was very hard on my mum because she got more seasick than anybody else. And so she would go to her cabin and lie down a lot and be sick, which it seems to me that people could have done a little bit better by her. But anyway, her experience was mostly go on board and after about the first day go to her cabin and throw up and keep doing the same until 3 weeks later. We did stop at ports on the way, so we would like the Bay of Biscay, once you've done the Channel you do the Bay of Biscay, which is sort of on the edge of France. And
where was it that you saw the bananas?
Very rough seas there. We haven't got to bananas yet. But then you would do part of Spain and Portugal and other bits around there. I wish I had a clearer record of it, but it was always very beautiful. All the ports and all the ships and tenders and things like that. So I've got stuck.
What about the captain? You made friends with the captain.
Oh yes, the crew and the captain were very friendly and polite, and they liked little children, and we were, without a personal mother attendant. Not that we didn't have one, Mum was there, but we escaped from the personal attendant people who were supposed to be looking after us. And so basically we were unattended, and we could rush up and down these stairs, and they always kept everything very shiny, and there were always people painting the gangways and the stairs and things like that. So it was always very fresh and nice. And with all kinds of interesting weather going on.
But you made friends with the captain.
Yes. I got a little seasick, just a little. And the captain told me that when you were seasick, what you needed to eat was crunchy bars, because crunchy bars have bicarbonate of soda in, which of course everyone knows is very good for nausea. And so he would give me, if I went to him and said I'm feeling seasick, he would give me a crunchy bar, or maybe 2 or 3. And I just loved crunchy bars. And you would see if you broke the bar, you could see in the middle of the sort of fuzzy orange bit, you would see little white patches. And that was the bicarbonate of soda. And it got it on your tongue and it fizzed. And the captain said, anytime, come and ask him for crunchy bars. And so he would do that. He would give me crunchy bars. And then there was another bit that I was going to tell you, wasn't there? Oh, yes. The captain said that I was allowed to come up into his cabin, which of course was at the top, at the front. And
boats and bottles?
He would show me his collections of things, because he travelled around the world all the time, and so he had collections of things from from the Bahamas and from all sorts of parts of the world. They weren't very fancy things. He was just a ship's captain of a not very grand line, but
How old were you?
well, we did this several times, so I was different ages. I think the first time we went out there, I was probably about 7. And it was 3 weeks each way on the boat. And so we would go out there, going through various ports, and look around the ports and do some fun things, and then go on to the next port. So
And where were you traveling to and from?
well that time we were traveling from Argentina to I don't know, I can't remember where was
To
I?
England.
The first time to England, but the second time we were traveling, well, we went to like Tenerife, which was right near there.
Tell the story about
About you steering the boat.
about the time he let you take the wheel.
Okay, this is the most exciting bit, I guess. Well, I really liked the captain, and I was a very friendly little girl, and the captain was quite fond of me. And we went on the same boat several times, so I did know the captain, and he knew my name, and I was older than the others. So they were too little to be at the grown-ups dinner table. But I got to go to the grown-ups dinner table where I could choose anything on the menu as much as I wanted, which I did, especially salami. I loved the salami they had there. And Richard and Frances, as she was called back then, they had to have children's meals. And a funny thing happened because they had these big old tables that looked like, big restaurant tables and chairs. And the chairs were quite grand. And us having children's dinner, the person who was supposed to be watching us didn't always watch us. And Richard had so much fun because he got hold of these nice big powerful silver forks. They were probably silver plate, but they were big heavy ones. And he scratched up the back of the chairs. And my dad had to pay for new chairs. It was pretty bad. My dad was not pleased. Anyway, I got diverted in the middle of this story. Where did I start?
You were talking about how you made friends with the captain, and you were going to tell us the story about when he let you take the wheel.
Yes. So I would go running up to, they had all these decks, the bridge, and there was a sort of sub-bridge. I don't know what the names are for all these things, but I need another jog to my mind.
The time that he let you take the wheel.
Yes. Yes, he was really very friendly. He let me see all his little model boats and other things, and so that was really fun. And there were always some sailors and also engineers at that level of the boat.
Tell us about the time he let you take the wheel, Mom.
Yes. So I went up and I was looking in, and he let me open the door, and I could see into this not very big room that was all metal all round. And just because I'm aiming for that thing, I can't get there. Anyway, so he said, would I like to take the wheel? And of course I said yes. So I went into the room which is where the captain's chair was. And the captain let me hold the wheel. And he said it was very important to keep the line of the wake straight, because otherwise it would rock the boat. And so you have to keep looking at the same place behind and keep that bit at the same angle to the steering wheel so that it would keep going straight. So I got that very clearly, and so I held the wheel and everything went smoothly. And the captain and the chief officer or the engineer or somebody who was with him got a little bit less interested in this child, and they took their eyes off the child, and the child had a very wicked thought. The idea was, if I wait until they're looking the other way with their nose in a chart or something, and then I swing the wheel as hard as I possibly can, it will make the line on that thing that goes round wiggle, and I will make an impact on the world. So that's what I did. I waited until everybody was very firmly in conversation about some point of the compass or something, and I swung the wheel as hard as I could, and the ship made a great big lurch, and there was a little pen attached to a thing that had a compass point on it that was drawing on the chart, and it made a great big wiggle. And the whole ship made a great big wiggle, and there was horror all around. And I thought, well, I did make an impact on the world today. And I got down in a hurry and rushed off to the cabin where my mother was being sick. I said, "Did you feel that?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "That was me." I did. I made the whole ship wiggle. It was a really lovely ship to be on. They were all the Blue Star Line. That one might have been the Brazil Star. I think we went on the Brazil Star several times, and then we went on the Uruguay Star, and I think maybe the Argentine Star. That might have been all of them. And it was so exciting. It was lovely being in the ports and seeing all the wonderful big cranes
And bananas.
Oh yes, they had ships full of bananas unloading. They would go through like round Cuba, somewhere there, I think.
The tarantula came out of the big.
Yes, and they had these enormous hands of bananas. Enormous. I mean, yeah. Like the size of several hundred banana bunches. Maybe 1,000. They were really big. And sometimes if you were watching them loading bananas or unloading bananas, tarantulas would jump out of the bunches of bananas. Now these bunches of bananas were, big enough that one could climb into it and sit there. Huge hands of bananas. And the tarantulas were really big and furry and black. And they would kind of leap at you. They were really a bit scary. But they didn't bite us. But maybe they would have. they were quite exciting. And there were always people selling dolls on the dock. And they were the sort of dolls that they had then that all the kids at school craved. Because if you jogged their hips, they would walk. And they would move forward several steps. And of course then they would fall over. But we thought that was terribly exciting. And we always wanted one of those. And in the end, we got one. They were really very beautiful, and they had the most beautiful clothes, these dolls, and they had a lot of beautifully embroidered lace and other kinds of handwork stuff on them. I think I saw a bit of one of their clothes the other day. Yeah, I did. Somewhere among the bits. There are some little smidgens left of Spanish doll clothes. Yeah. It was absolutely lovely going on the ship. And, you know, we had our own cabins. So there was a cabin that had my sister and my brother in it. And there was a cabin that had me and my sister, I suppose.
So Richard had his own cabin?
No, Richard was with us.
Oh, okay. So all three of you.
Yeah.
Didn't you have a nanny who would come along with
Well,
you?
We did. We had a nanny who was traveling, you know, between South America and wherever else we were going. And she was poor. No, she wasn't poor. A person who was with her was poor. There was this lady who had very little money and she couldn't afford to travel to South America, which is where she had some family. And so she was hired as our minder. She was supposed to be with us at all times, except meal times, I guess. But she wasn't. She didn't bother about us very much at all.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And the other children on the ship were too young to be unattended. So they had to have grown-ups with them all the time. And so my mum hired Auntie Joan Lawrence, who kind of was supposed to hang around us. But she didn't. She was not the least bit interested in us. We had a couple of different women who came with us for a bit and became sort of family friends, but not really. They would interfere in our games, and we would send them packing. Anyway, yeah, Dad did not have much success controlling these various people. In fact, we lied about things. There was one nanny that we really didn't like. We said that she had spanked us, and so she was fired. We felt very guilty about that, getting her fired. She never did that at all. She didn't do anything wrong at all, but we didn't like her.
Okay.
Is that enough?
I think that's good.
Okay.